Yeah, we're gonna just keep it to 1 hour today, and it's kind of like my goal. From now on, we just spend an hour talking about just one project, and a project may have several concepts to cover. So, like today, we're gonna look at how you can build an e-commerce infrastructure or platform. And talking about that, we are looking at anything. An e-commerce, it's just like any store. So it's pretty much like any store. Hold on here. I'm gonna see. Make sure my writing board is connected. Okay. Okay. So any store, physical store that you know of, and this could be like Walmart. It could be anything like Best Buy. So anything could be anything, but these are physical stores, and now they have pretty much all of them become digital, meaning that they also have stores online, and this is what we call e-commerce platform. So it's a digital store that allows you to look for any product, and that's the inventory, and then you can put all of your products into a cart, and eventually you wanna check them out. So you have the checkout. So these are kind of like the major companies, but at the same time, you also have people that can help you, like you know, someone standing behind the checkout point to help you pay and stuff like that. But instead of having these to be physical, they are now digital, and this is where they use this platform, and that's what we'll be talking about today. And today, what we will look at the infrastructure, the kind of infrastructure you need to build something like that. And for those watching this for the first time, in case you didn't know who I am, my name is Emmanuel Noeji, and I am the founder and CEO of T2S, Transform to Succeed. So I train people to become cloud and DevOps engineers, and also mentor them so that they can get some of those highly paid jobs in IT. We're gonna talk about two major things here that we need to do, but before we do that, let me make sure that you get the code that we'll be using today. I'm gonna add the code to the notes on YouTube after the video is done. Otherwise, for those who have been enrolled into my program, if you go to Slack, you're gonna find a link there. You're gonna find the link. So the repo with code or script. So you just go to Slack. You should be able to see it now. Also, there's a documentation that we'll be following, and which I'll show you just right now. So we're gonna start with that. So I will just give you like a high level overview of what it takes to build an e-commerce platform or infrastructure. So what we're gonna do as part of this project is we'll be deploying an e-commerce platform on AWS, because you can do the same on Microsoft Azure, you can do the same on Google, IBM, or Oracle Cloud, or Alibaba, or any kind of cloud computing platform that you may be using. And then this is going to be a guide. As I said, you have to go. I'll be posting the link to the repo with all of the scripts and code that you will need to build this infrastructure. So we're gonna cover the deployment steps, the types of AWS services or technologies that we'll be using as part of this platform. And also I will highlight some of the best practices for security and maintenance. So here is a list of things that you need to have first prior to deploying such a platform or infrastructure. You're gonna need an AWS account, because we'll be building this infrastructure on AWS. So you need an AWS account. And number two, you're gonna need Terraform installed on your system. And then I'll talk in a moment about Terraform, just to give you a high level overview of this technology. You're gonna need to install this on your local machine. And number three, you need the command line configuration to allow your local machine to talk and communicate with AWS console, AWS resources and then tools that they have out there. And lastly, you're gonna have to clone the repository. So I have already written all of the scripts and codes that you need for building this infrastructure. The deployment process, number one, we're gonna have to initialize the Terraform configurations, meaning that we go to the specific environment. And when we talk about environments, we're talking about development, talking about staging, and production. These are kind of like the three major environments that you have when you work at a company. And then some people may have also a pre-prod environment. So, but the three are the major ones: dev, stage, and prod. And when you move to the desired environment, this is where you're gonna go to number two. You may need to look at the variables and Terraform TFVars files. One of the best practices, you don't publish some of these the Terraform TFVars file. You don't put it on GitHub, but you configure those locally, all right, on your local machine. So when you do the Terraform plan, you're gonna apply the terraform.tfvars file there. In a real, world case scenario, that's what you do for security purposes. Then you do the planning of your deployment using Terraform plan, and finally you apply the configurations. These are the services that we will be using. Okay, so we're gonna use S3 buckets, API gateway, all right, Amazon SNS, AWS Lambda, DynamoDB, CloudFront, IAM. These are the basic technologies that we use for this specific project. But in production, you're gonna have to add more security layers. You're gonna need to protect your application. Our application will be hosted on S3 bucket, and so you're gonna need to use something like AWS WAF and so on So there's more than you get, more to what you may need to add here. But this is the basic list of tools that you're gonna need to use to build this infrastructure. Any questions so far? Okay, if not, then we proceed. And one thing that we will have to do once we set up the entire infrastructure using Terraform, we will be uploading web application files. These are index HTML files. And if you have a very complex website, you may need also CSS files as well as JavaScript files for making your website a little bit more dynamic. But for the purpose of this project, we'll just use a simple form to allow somebody to enroll either in the cloud course or DevOps course. So we're gonna have a very simple website to host on our S3 bucket. Then we'll verify the resources and we will test at the end point. We will not complete everything today because we only have like 1 hour, okay? But we will come back next weekend and finish this up, and we may probably add a little bit more layers of security and so on and so forth. So then in the end, we will have to clean up, all right, so that you don't get charged. And we will use Terraform destroy to get rid of, just destroy the whole infrastructure. Any questions before we proceed? Okay, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna come back here. This thing doesn't show. Let me see what happens. Yeah, it works okay. So let's begin first talking about you, all right? So it's gonna be you building this infrastructure. Number one, what's going to happen here is that this is you. This is you. And you are the developer. So you're gonna develop this project. And now Terraform is going to be for you. It's gonna be like your Terraform will be the builder, so the architect. So the architect will be Terraform. You're gonna speak or talk to Terraform and say, hey, this is my blueprint. And the blueprint, so when I say TF stands for Terraform. Blueprint is going to be our Terraform configurations. This is how you should understand Terraform. And there is a lot of documentation out there. And then since this is not a Terraform session, I will not go in more details, but what happens is you're gonna come up with a blueprint, and then you say, Terraform, I want you to build my infrastructure. Build infra, and Terraform will take care of that. but it's gonna take care of that based on the blueprint that you give Terraform. And that's how you interact with Terraform and then use it to build any infrastructure. So Terraform is your architect. Terraform will only do what you tell Terraform to do. What that means is Terraform will look at your blueprint. So Terraform, what it's gonna do is it's gonna make sure that what you have on your blueprint matches your infrastructure wherever you want to deploy it. It could be AWS, could be Azure, it could be Google, and so on. This is how it works. Terraform will always make sure that what you have on your blueprint is exactly what you have on AWS, Azure, Google, or wherever you deploy your configurations or your infrastructure. Any questions? So this is kind of like how it works. All right, so moving on. So now let's look at the infrastructure that we'll be deploying. So the infrastructure that we'll be deploying, this is how it's gonna work. And you guys can look at the documentation that I have on my GitHub. You just git clone, and we're gonna do that in just a few minutes here. So this is how it works. When we build our infrastructure, so the customer will come into the store. All right, they visit our store. And in this case, our store will be hosted on S3. So this is where we will be hosting our store. So it's not going to be a physical place where they go. It's just going to be a digital place. So how do they get to that store? We're gonna have to define how they can access. It's like giving directions, an address about our store to our customers, saying, hey, find us at, that's the kind of like what we'll be doing here. So when they go to our store, then they can browse products. Just like when you go to Walmart, when you go to Best Buy or Home Depot or any store, okay? So you go there, you look at stuff, right? So you look at stuff, and that's what they will be also doing. But we will be hosting our website, our store on S3. So this will be the first component of our infrastructure. And it's gonna be a front end component of our infrastructure, meaning that this is what we expose to the customers, all right? Next, when our customer walks into our store, when they walk around within our store and they browse items, they should be able, you know, when you go into a store, you pick up a cart or a basket, right? And then you're gonna walk with that cart around. And if you see something that is interesting, then what you're gonna do is to add whatever you want to your cart, right? So you're gonna have that. If you're not done, you'll continue walking, right? You'll continue walking, and to allow a customer to add something to their cart on the website, what we use is what we call API gateway. So API gateway, I'm gonna erase that. API gateway. So this will allow our customers to say, okay, I like this item, and they click. When they click on that item will move into their cart, and they have another option to buy now if they want to buy it right away. Okay, what tool do we use on AWS? We use the API gateway to take care of that business. And this is another component of our infrastructure. And this, you refer to it as like the front desk, right? So the front desk or the checkout point. Sometimes you can also refer to that way. So any questions so far? All right, so now once the customer has added what they want to their cart, so now the next thing that we need to make sure of is to check our inventory. Because what if they don't have it? We don't have that inventory. We don't have that on. What if we don't have it? So that's the next component that we need here as part of the process, and this will, for this we're gonna use Lambda. For this we're gonna use Lambda. So here's a question. Customers hit the API gateway first. Everything that I'm sharing here these are the things that customers, they don't see. All right, it's kind of like behind the scenes. This is the infrastructure. Customers, they only see the products as part of the inventory. They select what they want, just like what you do with Amazon or eBay or anything that you want to buy online. When you go to that specific store, you click on the item that you want. Some stores may ask you to create an account before buying, and that's authentication. And that's another tool that you can add to your infrastructure. And when you do that, so when you add that tool, you can use like on AWS. I don't want to get into that right now, because now we focus on the very basic type of infrastructure. So you can use something like AWS Cognito and something like that. So we'll talk about that later. And I hope that answered your question. So customers, they don't see the underlying infrastructure. They only see the products that they want to select, add it to their cart, and decide if they want to buy. All right, but these tools, they like behind the scene, they take care of all of this infrastructure that I'm explaining here. All right, any other questions? Oh, I see another question here. Okay. Let me see here. I see another question just joined. Okay, is this AWS centric? Yes. For today, we only focus on AWS. But you use the same I mean, the infrastructure is very similar to what you would use on Google or AWS. The concept is the same. The blueprint will be the same, but the technologies that you use or the components of the infrastructure will be relevant to the specific cloud computing platform you're using. And I hope I answered your question. And what you can do is when you get to the you clone the script or the repository from my GitHub, you can find equivalent technologies or tools for all of what we're talking about right now. All right. If no other questions, then I'm going to proceed. Lambda will be the next one. These are like the workers. So Lambda will be checking the inventory. It will be checking the inventory, and the inventory is hosted. We're gonna put it on DynamoDB tables. This is it's a storage tool that you have that AWS provides. Microsoft Azure also has something similar. Google and all the other computing cloud platforms, they also have something similar. But this is a NoSQL, a NoSQL database. I'm gonna say DB. So it's not restricted to like a table. You have columns, rows, and you follow all of that. We will not go into details about that, but this is very simple and very dynamic and easy to use on an infrastructure like an e-commerce where you have a lot of activities happening at once. So it's a much better tool to use. And then we still have to, once a customer makes an order, all right, they place an order, so we store the transactions. So all transactions will be stored on RDS. RDS stands for Relational Database Service. So here we store, so every, after a customer buys something, all of those activities and transactions, we store them here. So we're gonna store them on RDS, and when the transaction is completed, the customer will receive a notification about thank you for buying or purchasing this product. And you may probably also add something like, okay, this is what you should expect. You will receive like an email with shipping information sometime later today or something like that. And what tool do you use for that? And for that, you're gonna need to use SNS. And this is for notifications. This is for notification. SNS stands for Simple Notification Service. And again, as I said, on YouTube, on Google Cloud Computing or GCP or Azure and the others, they also have a similar service for notifications, okay? So everything that you do on AWS, you can also do it on Microsoft Azure. You can do it on Google, on all the other cloud computing services or platforms. All right, so this is what you do, but the last thing that you may need to add would be what we call CloudFront. This will allow customers to connect to your or access your products from anywhere around the world. So if you have global customers, this will be very appropriate to add. But part of our infrastructure, we will not add it today. I don't think I added a script for that, but I'm gonna probably update my script sometime next week. So, is this your first time coming across AWS? And if so, then you have a few things that you can learn this week. Go ahead. Okay, so if this is your first time, you have at least a few things that you may need to learn here. And of course, we will have I am, because these are the roles. This allows us to control who has access to what, or what has access to what. And I'll be creating a role and a policy to allow a service to access another service. And to do that, you use IAM, Identity Access and Management. Identity and Access Management. So these are the concepts that you may probably learn this week. Even if you are like a dinosaur on cloud, I mean, you already know cloud, just refresh your memory. And you know, when you work as a DevOps and cloud engineer, you don't have to use everything at the same time. So you may use more of like IAM, Lambda, and DynamoDB, probably not as much as, not RDS, relational data based services. Probably you don't use that much. So you may have to go now back. This is an opportunity to go back and refresh your skills. And AWS has a lot of documentation on all of these tools here. And yeah, so that's what somebody's asking here. So that's what we're trying to do here. And when you go to my GitHub, I have more information there to explain how most of these things, I mean, all of these things will interact with each other. What I was showing here, it's like a customer walks. Let me go back here quick before we run our script. So when a customer comes into your store, first of all, they need to know where to find your store, right? So this is where you start with S3, because on our S3 bucket, this is where we're gonna host our website. It's gonna be a static website, all right? And when they access our store, they're gonna browse products to decide, okay, what do I do here? Okay. And when they decide on what to buy, the next thing is that they're gonna add that product to the cart. And then who takes what service on AWS would help us take care of that? It's gonna be an API gateway. So we're gonna use an API here, and which will kind of like do will communicate. Oh yeah, I'll do that later. I'll do that later, Raj. I'm gonna do that later. Somebody was asking a question here about a diagram. Yeah, I'll provide a diagram later, and it's gonna be on Medium. If you guys have been using Medium for some time, so this will really help you kind of like understand. Okay, so the customer walks into the store, and our store is hosted on S3 bucket. Okay, so they browse products and then they add whatever they want into their cart and the service that will help us take care of this process would be an API gateway. And then our inventory, that's the list, that's where we store our products, right? And Lambda will take care of that, okay? And now Lambda will trigger, Lambda uses what we call functions, and these are written in Python and so on, scripting languages. So Lambda will trigger and will kind of like be in between the API gateway and the DynamoDB. All right, DynamoDB, we have our inventory, right? And because DynamoDB is so dynamic and so easy to use, but when a customer makes up their mind, they say, okay, I'm gonna buy this product, and that transaction will be stored on RDS or now RDS, relational database service, and this could be Aurora or something else. Okay, so it's gonna be stored there for durability, resiliency, and so on. All right, so once they make their transactions, then they will receive a notification to say, hey, it's all done. All right, so that's kind of like a high level overview of the entire process here. So now I'm gonna go to the, and you're welcome, Raj. I'm gonna go to the command line here, and I'll show you the steps. And we will also need to log into our AWS account. So I assume that you have an AWS account, and if you don't, then you will need to create one to start working on that. I'm gonna erase this. Let's go to our command line. And what I'll be using, I'm using a Mac OS operating system based computer. What you see here may be a little bit different from what you have, but you just have to, if you have a Windows, it may look a little bit different. Let me take you to the command line here. Just give me a moment. And I think we should be set. So my command line, I use Visual Studio Code. It's easy to use, and so you have kind of like everything in one. So I'm gonna get a new terminal here. The first thing that we're gonna need to do is to git clone. We're gonna have to git clone this URL. Just give me a moment, let me get it here. We're gonna git clone this command here. And this is my GitHub account. Okay, and you're gonna see a little bit of projects that I've worked on, and some are projects kind of like a simulation of projects that I've worked for companies, and others are personal projects. So and what you do, you just git clone this, and you're gonna get okay, I'm gonna remove this here. Okay, give me a moment, I'll just go delete it from my thing here. Just give me a moment here. back here. I'm trying to Control C, clear my screen. So let's try to run that command again. It should work now. All right, so I'm gonna, the next step is to go into this directory. This is our repository. So I'm gonna go in there, clear my screen, and if you ls, you have these files and directories here. And this file, readme, explain pretty much everything that you need to know about this infrastructure. So you can read it from here, or you can go to the browser and get to see all of this here. So all of the steps are here. Everything that I've shared with you so far, it's here. And also some additional steps that you can take to secure your infrastructure are here. This is not an exhaustive list of tools that you need to do this, but at least it gives you like a background, like an introductory idea of how you can take care of this. So I'll clear my screen, and then when you look at, I'm gonna use this command here. This is a command that you can install on your system, and it gives you like this visual output every time you run it. Like this is only for this one here. So you see we have environments. That's a folder, and then you have another subfolder here, subdirectory known as dev, named as dev, this prod, and stage. And this is kind of like one of the best ways to write your Terraform script. So you organize environments into this one here, and then modules. These are the tools or the components of our infrastructure. See here? So that we have everything here. And why you need to use modules? You use modules because you can reuse them. You can scale them. You can use them across the different environments here. So when you want to run your Terraform scripts, you just need to go into one of these environments. You don't need to change anything here. So when a company hires you, they will give you the requirements. And based on those requirements, you're gonna write a blueprint. This is a blueprint, right? This is the Terraform configuration. So you're gonna write that to meet the technical requirements. And once you know that they need an API gateway, they need a DynamoDB, they need an IAM, they need Lambda, they need all of these here. So you write these only once. And then from now on, what you have to worry about is just this here. It saves you time. It's easy to use. All right. So you do that, and then here we have these files that we need to add to our S3 bucket. Any questions so far? You know, as I said, to run all of this, the only thing you need to do is just to go to the environment. And here we will be doing all of this in the dev environment. And because we're doing all of this in the dev environment, give me a moment here. We'll be doing this in the dev environment. Then what we need to do is to just go in there, and these are the files we have. the two files that you should be concerned about in terms of what to update and change are these two here. So like I'll give you an example here. When you cat this, your company may say, okay, Emmanuel, this is not the name we want to give to the bucket. This is the bucket that will be hosting our website. No, we need something different. And then this is what you change, and that's it. So then we clear the screen, and the first thing you're gonna have to do is to initialize this environment or this workspace. So you're gonna have to initialize it, and by initializing Terraform, what it does, it's gonna initialize the backend. Now this is where you store your state file. A state file, it's a file that keeps track of all of the resources that are part of your infrastructure. And then it's gonna initialize these modules. Modules, you can write them by yourself, or you can get them from Terraform space there. And then it's gonna initialize the provider plugins. In an interview, they may ask you what the Terraform init command does. This is the answer. Okay. And usually, after I do that, I do also Terraform validate to check the syntax of your. Make sure that everything that you wrote is correct, and if it's correct, it's gonna say success. The configuration is valid. Then next, you do the plan, which is to preview what you are going to do. So the plan is gonna add 9 resources. We don't change anything, we don't destroy anything, and these are the resources that we'll be adding and what we have discussed at the beginning of our session. Clear. And then next, this is where we apply the configuration. When you are working, usually you can also do this to go fast, but don't do it. Use this one, this command. I see a question there from how much does it cost per day to host this platform? So that's a very good question. But the thing is, this is like a personal project, and the cost is relative to what resource you're using and the dependencies that come with that specific resource, and how long will you be using this resource. And also it could be the size of the resource that you're using, like RDS, the database. Let me just go ahead and run this one. Like the databases, relational database instances, they have different sizes. EC2 instances, they have different sizes and types, and so it depends on a variety of factors. But what I would recommend is once you create an infrastructure like this one, make sure that you destroy it after testing. So yeah, it can cost a lot. RDS, they can cost a lot. Something like DynamoDB or Lambda, it depends on the transactions. It depends on the data, of course, on the data transfer, like what you just say there. So it depends on a variety of things that you're using, or the type of resource that you're using. So what I always say is that make sure after you use something, destroy it. Even possible, just set an alarm for yourself to remember, remind yourself that, hey, in 1 hour I have to destroy all of my resources, because AWS, it's a business. They want money from you. Just be careful. Any other questions? Well, I've enjoyed this. Let's go now to the console. So we're gonna have to log into your console, and if you've been doing this along with me, then when you go to your console, you're gonna have to see. So like let's start with the S3 bucket. S3 bucket, you see it's already created here. But here we have nothing yet. We don't have anything here. And once we upload our scripts, we should be able to see our website. Let me see. You can do it manually. You can like go here and then you can drag and drop your files here. But if you want to make this a static website, you're going to have to make sure that you look at the permissions here. See here we have it's going to block all public access. So you're going to have to configure that. You're gonna have to configure that, and to do that, you either manually, you can just go here like edit. If you click here, then you can either block or unblock public access. But I will not do that now here. You see, so it's already been set to off, meaning that once we upload our files here, we should be able to access the website from the browser. So we should be able to do that. I see a question here. And Raj said that he found out the cost less. Yeah, I mean, you can do that, but I didn't look at that personally. But if you have checked that out, that's great, and thanks for sharing that. Any other questions here? Yeah, as I said, cost depends on a variety of things. So you're doing this via CloudFormation. Yeah, CloudFormation is it's what they call the same with Terraform, infrastructure as code tool. But CloudFormation is only limited to AWS. Terraform, you can use it across the different cloud computing platforms. So like the scripts that I'm sharing with you guys, you can just you use the same script for Azure. The only difference would be the technologies or resources. You use the relevant resources. All right, so let me go back to my command line here. I'm gonna rerun again, apply here. See what happens. So, okay, here I'm gonna end it. It's almost close to 1 hour. So here you see you may probably once you run that command, run Terraform apply. If you get this error message, it's because you're gonna need to apply the policies again. And to do that, you just do Terraform apply one more time here. and you should be set. So I'll just show you quickly, and then we'll pick it up from here next week. So we have our bucket here. It's set, and we can go. Let's go to Lambda. This is what we created. So we have created this function here for Lambda. We've created, let's see, simple notification service. We created one topic here, just using Terraform. We did that. And what else? RDS, we also created a database here. So we created that. Yeah, Terraform, you use it for any cloud platform, if that answer your question. Yes. Good questions there. So we've pretty much created everything. We did not create cloud front. Let's see, API gateway. What do we have here? And I may need to look into this. So we're gonna pick it up from here next week. So we're gonna start here, and then we'll add our website to. We're gonna add our website to our bucket. We'll test it, and then see how we can move from there. Let's go back to the code here, the terminal. I'm gonna clear my screen. And now what we need to do is to destroy our infrastructure. You can do auto approve, because I'm sure that I want to destroy and I don't want to enter yes. So it's gonna go straight to the destruction of the entire infrastructure. And again, I know it's 9 components here that we're dealing with. So that's pretty much it for today. And next week we'll build upon what we have done here and see how we can connect the different components. And I may include Cognito next week for, and Cognito, that's an AWS service for authentication. It really helps do that. Yeah. Good questions there. All right, so you do this. Wait until when it says 9 things have been destroyed. So when it says destruction complete, you go to your browser, to your internet browser, to your console, and verify that everything has been destroyed. Okay, no surprises from AWS. As I said, it's a business. They want money from you, so don't give it to them. If you have a free tier account, you have so many hours to use things for free, but don't use up that time for nothing. So don't waste that time. Yeah, so this is it for this week. And if you don't have any other questions, just stay connected and enjoy your weekend. And I'll talk to you sometime next week.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Well, thanks for joining. Appreciate that. Bye-bye.
You.